Hey you guys, this is the Logic Only Zone, and this is a special episode of Logic Church, episode 30. It's a bit of a milestone for us, and today we're going to be talking about the Huffington Post and feminist propaganda. And today I have a bunch of awesome and special guests with me, Steve Talon, Fair Use, and Spartacus. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys.
Well, I'm going to start. I'm Fair Use, and I believe in using objective reasoning and logic and data. When I have holes in my knowledge, I go seeking out these brilliant guys that are with me here today, and I'm happy to be able to introduce what I know about the Huffington Post, what forces they operate under, their history, that kind of thing, and try to bring that to the conversation. I have a Twitter. You got to follow me on Twitter, guys. No,
Yeah.
I'm impossible to find on Twitter, pretty much. I have
Well,
no good...
I'll make sure that all that stuff is in the description of the video after the Hangout. So if you guys are watching after, all the stuff for Twitter and links to their YouTube channels will be in the description. So look forward to that.
That's good. We need not bog down these proceedings with all that disgusting self-promotion.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can definitely go ahead and tell them what your Twitter is.
Okay, so you should buy my shit.
Okay. Hey, we have Seattle in here too.
What up?
Welcome.
Hey, how you doing, man?
What's
Yeah,
happening,
we're all introducing ourselves, so go on right ahead.
I'm Seattle for Truth. I write for the RalphRetort.com. I have a YouTube channel at Seattle4 Truth, and I was recently published by Capital Research Center with a report that was co-authored by Milo Yiannopoulos. So that was pretty cool.
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 Congratulations, man.
Wow.
Welcome.
Good job.
Mm-hmm. And so, who's up next? Is it Steve Talon? Steve Talon?
Sure,
Yeah,
I'll
go
go.
ahead, Steve.
My name's Steve Talon, and I am basically just a ripoff of Sargon of Akkad and Bering, but I'm Canadian, so that's what makes me special.
Ah.
Is that a plus or?
Well, you know, it depends on how you look at it. On one hand, I have Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister. On the other hand, I have Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister, so I can relentlessly mock him. Not that you guys can't, but
boy.
I get a lot more news about him than I'm guessing a lot of you guys probably would.
And he's a very handsome man, isn't he?
You heard
I know,
what
it's
happened
really
with him
weird.
today, right?
No, what happened today?
Well, there was in Toronto there was a gay pride parade, and Toronto cell of Black Lives Matter came and
Really?
shut it down and extorted them for all these demands, including money and like banning police from participating in the parade in the future and everything else. So, but here's the funny thing: this was the very first gay pride parade that the sitting Prime Minister was present at. So Trudeau was there and watched as it got shut down for half an hour. They extorted him.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's on the RalphRetort.com. I just reported on it. So.
Wow, cool. Hey,
Yeah, it's been on Twitter for a while, yeah.
We're already... I can't believe we're already going after Justin Cuck Trudeau. We haven't even introduced Quantica yet.
I'm humbled
Go
by everyone here. I'm just I guess I'm kind of an internet troll. I kind of but I do follow different political things going on, and I try to make political points or different points through absurdity, right? In a lot of the stuff that I do, but yeah, I'm kind of new to this, right, with the Hangouts and all this other stuff. So it's great to have some guys that you know, I can learn from, you know, and we do have Spartacus. We haven't introduced yet.
Yeah, go ahead, Spartacus.
All right, sure. I troll around a bit of Twitter and YouTube. I try to make some videos and about news, and I try to keep the conversations going on things like free speech. You know what I mean? Just the stories that aren't getting too much attention 9 times out of 10, it's like free speech. Like, take, for example, all the issues that's going on with YouTube. A few things that are going on with Twitter. We all know about those, like SJWs are running the show. The nonsense going on with Google and Google Ideas and some of the ideologues that are in charge of that. Pretty much mostly Gamergate. I got my start in that, and then after that, it's just a never-ending rabbit hole. It just keeps going deeper and deeper, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what I do my stuff on. I try to keep everybody connected with news, but mostly it's about free speech and things like that. I try to keep the conversation alive and going on the more topics of import. Topics that aren't getting covered too much of attention, things like that.
That's what I try to do too. When I report on stuff, I'm not going to be reporting on stuff that's on the Drudge Report. You know what I mean? I'm going to be reporting on stuff that nobody else is talking about, or it's not really getting any play in the mainstream conservative blogosphere. So I try to bring that stuff to attention. And a lot of times, thanks to how the internet works, a lot of the times I'll break a story on the Ralph Retort, and it'll end up getting reported on a whole bunch of other sites. Like the other day, you guys probably heard about how Huffington Post had that post a couple weeks ago. It was like, sorry, liberals, the violence against Trump supporters is totally justified or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You probably heard about it. I broke that.
Yeah.
I broke that story, and that ended up. They were talking about it in Fox News and everything.
Oh,
so
right.
it's like you could have a lot of power on the internet, just one person.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, man.
One person can make a difference. If you don't believe it, look at Trigglypuff.
Well, yeah, you can make a difference, positive or negative. But yeah, we'll try to do the positive difference, and the social justice warriors because they shoot themselves in the foot. How about that?
Well, I'm not sure. If somebody has to be shot in the foot, well, social
Yeah.
I mean, if they're not going to drink bleach, what can you do?
Does it have to be in the foot?
It doesn't have to be in the foot. Listen, that's
Well, no,
not
let's not go there because the social justice warriors are the ones that want to kill their political opposition. We don't want to kill social justice warriors. We just want to mock them. We just want to fucking film them and make fun of them. Like,
don't
show how ridiculous they are. Yeah.
I don't
Remember,
think.
they are the ones that are holding the device that's shooting themselves, right? Though you do know that.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I do think that a lot of what we're seeing with some of these groups, some of the feminist groups and Black Lives Matter, stuff like that, I think they're being used by bigger organizations, right? And I think a lot of that is created by bigger organizations that want power, right? And you see this, the censorship with Google, and you look into who's running their security. And it's this girl that used to be on Perverted Justice, which they had a big thing about.
Wait. No, that's the one that's running Twitter security. You're talking about.
Yeah.
You got confused.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Twitter security.
Twitter safety. That's what she's in charge of. Safety.
Right. See now I don't know if it was always.
Her name's
is that
Del Harvey. Del Harvey.
Right. And the thing is that she's been tied up in that kind of thing with the networks, for a long time before this, right? And you see all these groups, doing all this stuff. This Yes All Women, right? It was supposed to be a response to Elliot Rodger, right? And the Not All Men hashtag, right? But now when I go and I find this Gilded Spine, right? Who supposedly created this group, she's with a Muslim printing group, right? Diversified Publications, and now they're making like all Islamic comic books, and so they're trying to interject these comic books into the comics that are already in existence, right? And there is
because they can't come up with their own stuff, so they have to take over other narratives and try and like pervert it.
Right, and what I see this as, and I might be speculating a little bit on this, I don't know. I see this as a move to try to weaken the morality of Western men, and that the feminists are like a tool of this.
Well, yeah, it's divide and conquer.
It can also be forces. There are people who are not convinced, for example, that there's somebody, the comforting idea that some father figure is in control of the world is something that definitely appeals to feminists for some reason. But the idea that there could be underlying forces comes from MGTOW, that we're responding to social pressures that underlie the whole thing. And that is an interesting idea, too.
Yeah, so should we start kicking some Huffington Post ass or what?
Wait, we should do that. They deserve
let's
it.
do it.
Let's get to it.
Well, they called for preemptive violence against us just for having an opinion. So fuck. I mean,
Right.
at what point, if he's calling for violence against us, fuck. I mean, at what point it's like those are fighting words as far as I'm concerned.
Hold your horses. First, let's define
yourself
preemptive
sometime.
violence.
I'm down.
Preemptive
No, when
violence.
you're actually calling for violence, those are technically fighting words. It's not like you have the right to beat someone's ass if they're like, hey man, I'm gonna beat your ass. You have the right to go punch them in the fucking face. In most states.
there's never an excuse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, there is. If somebody's like, I'm gonna beat your ass, in most states that's not protected speech. It's called fighting words. You have the right to go punch them in the face, and even though you were technically the physical aggressor, you're not seen as the aggressor because someone said they were gonna fucking beat you.
I have to interject here. I have to say that, first of all, Seattle for Truth, you haven't said that you're a lawyer. I'm assuming that's not legal advice, but you do come from a state, like I do, where we do have a different set of rules about street fighting, where if two people agree to fight, even in the street, they can do that. We even have, like, some vigilante guy who goes and... What's that guy that dresses up like a costume?
Oh, no.
Cartoon character?
You got those guys. I've seen that before.
Have you seen this guy? Anyway, he's like, I don't know, the Phantom or something. And he goes out and he gets into fights, but if it's a voluntary fight, in Seattle anyway, apparently, and I'm not a lawyer either, but apparently that's all right to do. And they do have something like, even if you don't agree, if you say, I'm about to hit you, or, for example, I need some muscle over here. I need some muscle over here is fighting words, too.
Exactly. And then you have the right...
Oh, wow.
But,
that's unbelievable to me, living in California. I just can't believe that.
Yeah, well,
Wow.
Washington State is pretty dang progressive, but on the other hand, it has a lot of libertarian tendencies as well. Like, we could open carry guns here, like, without a permit or anything.
Huh.
So it's totally different than California.
That's cool.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen that
you
since
said
North
that.
Carolina.
I thought you're speaking about another country entirely. I had no idea that other states had laws like that. Wow.
Yeah, it's
So,
surprising.
guys, you ready
it's
for
a
this?
different world. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to have to switch between stereo and microphone. So, guys, let me know if you want me to stop it. You have something you want to say immediately, and I'll let it go for a tiny bit, and then I'll stop it and go back to my microphone. So, here we go.
Alrighty.
Feminism has become something of a dirty word in certain circles.
Lately, a lot of high-profile women like Shailene Woodley, Meryl Streep, and Marion Cotillard have gone on record saying they are not feminists.
There's even a group called Women Against Feminism.
Heretics.
So first of all, I think it's ridiculous that they go with the assumption that feminism is correct, that it's a thing, and anybody who's against it, there must be something wrong with them. They're using that intonation when they're speaking. What is wrong with you? Why would you not be a feminist? That sort of thing, and it's misleading and it's manipulative. And yeah, I mean, this is Huffington Post. Yeah, there's supposed to be a news network that.
Well, okay, but these are the same people. These are the same people that openly justified domestic terrorism against people they don't agree with. And then when they got caught after my article blew up and the whole media was on them, guess what? The editors at Huffington Post they got asked questions by Washington Examiner. They're like, "Oh, do you stand by this shit?" And they're like, "Yeah, well, you know." They made excuses for it and like justified it. So, and then guess what? The same author came back a week later and doubled down. So it's like these people are so fucking disingenuous. Huffington Post, they talk about feminism, but then they what? Sorry, my throat's messed up. Then they want to kill people that fucking disagree with them. It's like, dude, everything they say is disingenuous in trying to fucking manipulate people. Whatever they say, they don't actually fucking believe it. Maybe the useful idiots in the fucking video does, but I don't know if you know about Ariana Huffington, but she used to be a hardcore conservative pundit. Okay, and that was back in like year 2000. She didn't want Al Gore to win presidency because she was a fucking conservative back then. So you're gonna tell me she flipped into being some fucking uber conservative person in a couple years? It's obviously a psychological operation to inject neoliberal economics onto and push that onto the fucking progressives like it's a smart idea. As long as you just focus on the social issues, they'll fucking embrace neoliberal economics. I think that's what the whole point behind it was. But maybe I'm fucking tinfoil.
Well, yeah, but it's just like they're just going with the assumption right off the bat. Feminism is correct. There's been no argument. They've offered no evidence. They're not. It's like I just don't get it.
It's pure propaganda. They're just trying to peer pressure people into believe. They're not even providing arguments as to why these people are wrong. They're just, these people are heretics. You don't want to be one of them. We might make a video about you too.
Yeah. Right. It's like, yeah. Can you even believe that other people are not feminists?
Yeah. Well, and you have this adherence to labels, right? It's like okay, if somebody does the things that they want them to do, but they don't call themselves a feminist, that's not good enough for them, right? You have to call yourself a feminist. You have to wear it on your shoulder, right?
That's a good point. You can't just believe in it. You have to advertise the ideology for them in a positive light.
Right, and that's kind of cultish. That's like like a religious cult, right?
Yeah, seems like a really great marketing mechanism.
I'm going to question one of the respectfully question in a time when we're being beaten down and attacked by people with knives and that kind of thing. And I say we just, even if you're not a Nazi, and you just have an opinion that's not progressive, they want to take your job and all this kind of stuff, and we'll even go so far as to beat.
No, but anybody could be a Nazi when the mob points a finger at you and says you're a Nazi. Then you're a fucking Nazi, and then they're gonna stab you and justify it. So what the fuck are you gonna do about it?
Nazi's the new racist, right? So in that time when we're questioning, well, should people be using a certain tone? Well, I think that you can permit a certain difference in tone, and you can be condescending, and like people won't like your being condescending, but I think you can. It's one of the tools that you have available. We don't question our assumptions either. We don't necessarily question the idea, even if, okay, there are people in this chat, you might think where all men are created equal might be a questionable idea, but you'd never question this non-initiation of force, or you might never question the freedom of speech. And I think there are objective reasons. There are reasons why you might want to do that. Their assumptions are different that they're defending to the death, but our assumptions are things that also, if we're going to be tribalistic about it, say it's us and them, then are we going to question our own ideas? If we want to ask them to question their ideas, I think we should be willing to question our own.
Well, if you look at some place like Pole or something, it's not a hug box. That's a hostile environment where everyone's disagreeing with each other. And if you want to take it further, when you talk about the alt-right, the alt-right is just a blanket term for, I've heard somebody say it says it's a blanket term for people who would all be fighting each other, except for they've seen that the radical left is like about to kill us all, so now we're working together but we don't. The right doesn't all agree with each other. The alt-right doesn't agree with each other on everything. We're constantly arguing and trying to figure out the truth and trying to figure out the best. But it's like we know what we're against. That's the thing that we could agree on.
It's an amazing how much alignment, I know I'm talking twice in a row here, but how much alignment there is between such disparate groups. I've had everyone from Muslims to people who call themselves feminists, people, Christina Hoff Summers and so forth. Even people who are homosexuals like Milo Yiannopoulos. I can even tolerate that. Yeah, I love the guys. But there is a broad group of people. Basically, the people are against the insanity. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Assessment.
Every country, doesn't matter. All around the world, Ukraine, Yemen, Canada, we're all over the place facing this really violent insurrection against Western civilization itself. I mean, to simplify it. But that's what we see going on, and we're talking about how, the Huffington Post, for example, is pushing this agenda that pushes against reason, against sanity.
Against being like freedom of speech or, like freedom of assembly.
Yeah.
Yeah, then the parallels between Islamic State and social justice terrorists, because I don't call them social justice warriors anymore. They fucking progress to the next stage, these progressives have. Now they're the social justice terrorists. Now they're openly advocating terrorism against fucking American citizens. So it's like, the similarities are so pertinent, though. They both wear all black. They both wear black face masks when they do it. They both wear GoPro head cams while they commit their terrorism so they could use it for propaganda after the fact. They both hate freedom of speech. They both love open borders. They both believe in mob rule where they're the only authority. They both believe that if somebody says something that offends you, you have the right to kill them. I mean, we could go on.
Because it's called a microaggression, offense means the same thing. I just want to point that out. They consider words to be violent attack.
Right, and they aren't. Words are not to be feared. They're just little sounds we make out of our mouths. So
it's just a way for them to be able to strike first and excuse it as self-defense.
Right, yeah, but Islamic State does the same thing. They'll say they'll use somebody's words and feel totally justified in violence against them because, well, you shouldn't have said those words. I mean, come on, what are you thinking? Of course you're going to expect violence, right? Like that's how they see it, and that's the exact same thing progressives say. What do you mean? Of course you should expect violence. If you're going to support a candidate that has these views, you should expect to get beat up.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Well, not really that surprised, but the footage where that Trump supporter or whatever was getting egged and all that other stuff. And you figure that there has to be some of those people who are protesting and doing this who would call themselves feminists or would call themselves progressives, right?
Oh, they're all progressives.
And well, what I mean is they call themselves that, right?
No, but that's I think it's the true face of progressivism. That's what progressivism is all about. Progressivism is based off of Maoism, which they did the same sort of thing in the Cultural Revolution back in the 60s China.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing, though. If some of those people in the progressives also consider themselves to be feminists, you would think they would want to protect that woman, from the dog pile that's like throwing eggs at her or throwing rocks at her.
But feminists on Twitter do the same thing, but not with physical assault. They go after any woman that goes against them too and call them all sorts of names and try and ruin their career or get them fired or whatever. So even feminists don't actually believe in feminism or the empowerment of women to be individuals. They only believe in mob rule and they're a little cult. They're just so disingenuous.
I want to actually go back to the Huffington Post and see what those filthy vermin scum have to say to destroy our children with their infectious mind disease.
Let's do this.
We're all doomed.
But what are these women really saying when they declare they aren't feminists?
What they think they're saying is, I don't hate men, I love men.
I don't think women are better than men.
I'm not that kind of woman. The crazy, bra-burning, feminazi kind.
I'm not that kind of terrorist. I'm not that kind of jihadist, man. Not all suicide bombers.
When stereotypes ring true.
Oh, what they think they're saying, so now they're psychic.
Wow.
So
inherently violent.
Okay.
And
Zeba, I know the black woman is Zeba Blay, and I forget who the other girl is. I did a video on this last year. But I love the assumption that they know for sure, without a shred of doubt in their mind, what every woman who declares themselves not to be a feminist is thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
It's obviously, dude, just extreme amounts of damage control because women are waking up and not supporting their twisted fucking ideology, so they're coming out with damage control propaganda. Just like every time there's a terrorist attack, they come out saying, "Oh, it's a religion of peace." It's all just damage control, man.
Look at every pro-feminist video on YouTube. All they ever are damage control.
Yeah, and a lot of projection, right?
Yeah.
One of the scary things is they do know what you're thinking. If you buy into their bullshit,
Yeah.
then they'll know what you're thinking because they put that thought there. For example, if you're raised in front of a TV to watch an MTV constantly, they'll know that you're into the gyrating crotches of their music TV video stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say anything against those music videos. Those guys are artists, should be allowed to do what they want to do, whatever it is. But look at what they're pushing. And yeah, okay, so maybe they are drumming up the instincts of what they're working with. They're molding people like out of clay with their pop culture, and they've seen it being effective. I've seen it being effective. They're not entirely wrong, and that's why they're able to claim they read minds, because they put those thoughts in your minds deliberately.
While you're touching on MTV for a second, that's something that I actually covered in some investigatory videos that I did, where, see, a few years ago, let's back it up. MTV's always kind of been biased towards liberal opinions, right? But they've at least tried to appear like they were nonpartisan over the years. In the past, and they said we just talk about what interests our people, so we're always doing polling and stuff to see what interests our viewers, and that's how they would excuse it before. Lately, they've been completely taken over by DNC operatives, and let me explain. One of the key figures in getting Obama elected was this guy named Ronnie Cho. He was very integral in the campaign, and after Obama was elected, he was placed of like the head of children's engagement, the head of youth engagement. So he was basically the youth propaganda minister for the Obama administration for a few years. And then after that, he was going to run for Senate. Oh, sorry, I got some family over. I'll tell you in a minute.
Well, Vox Day said the same thing, that any organization that's not explicitly conservative is going to just turn to progressive.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't read the book, but that was the dust jacket. So.
Cool.
Okay. So Steve, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask if anyone else wanted to add something to that segment there before we moved on.
Well, I'll finish what I was saying. So anyway, this Ronnie Cho dude, he was basically the youth propaganda minister for Obama, and he was going to run for Senate, but at the last minute he pulled out and decided to be the head of public engagement for MTV, or the head of public affairs, excuse me. So now he's the one that's in charge of all the social issues and all the social programming for MTV, and he's basically a DNC operative. So everything you see on MTV is just propaganda trying to subvert kids to vote for Democrats.
Cool. Hard evidence. Fantastic.
Well, and I know correlation doesn't prove causation, but I remember watching MTV when I was younger, and it was all about trying to get younger people to vote. And of course, they wanted them to vote liberal. So.
Yeah, but they at least acted like they were nonpartisan back then. And I actually know this for a fact because I was able to find interns had wrote about their experience from working at MTV, and in like 2011 and 2012, the interns said that they when they wrote about it, they said that it was nonpartisan and whatever. And then in 2014, it had completely changed, and they stopped talking about the nonpartisan stuff at all, and it was just pure propaganda, or pure progressive issues. And that was the same time that they got taken over by the DNC guys. So it's pretty apparent that, yeah, they just dropped all airs and just decided to make it total progressive propaganda.
Cool. All right, let's carry on here. Let's see what else.
I don't want to put women above men.
For anyone who needs a refresher.
Wait, stop. I love this. I don't want to put women above men. So, are you suggesting that feminists want to put women above men?
Oh, yeah, she's right. Oh, boy.
We're not a female supremacy cult. Not at all.
No. Just women are superior in every way, obviously.
Well, yeah, because, yeah.
No. Bullshit.
Well, I just don't understand. Like, why aren't we just humanists instead of feminists? I mean, it's all in the word. I mean, I don't know.
Why are we discussing
I'm looking forward
who's
to
on
that one.
top or not?
Can't we all just get along?
Why are we discussing? Why are we
Yeah.
discussing who's on top or not? You know.
Gosh, what a selfish ideology. Gosh.
Hey, why are you putting humans above animals? Why do you think one species of animal is better than the others? You supremacist.
Oh man, here it comes.
Yeah. First murder.
Now I have to make a video about humanists don't hate animals.
Animals are people we can eat.
Animals are people too. Right?
Darwinism is a radical right-wing ideology.
If we don't push back, if we don't push back against these filthy animals, then before you know it, we're going to be overrun by horses and deer. Oh, teal deer even.
Oh, tail dear.
All right.
Means at its core.
Feminist, a person who believes in the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes.
Hating men and being a feminist are actually not connected at all. Not even a little bit.
Bullshit at all.
If you hate, like you
Bullshit.
yeah, of course, they're full of shit. If you don't hate white men, you're not a feminist enough.
Why don't you tell that to every fucking feminist out there? Because apparently they missed that memo.
Well, that's kind of like the thing with Sargon saying, "I'm not going to rape you," right? It's like there's already a presumption that they hate men, and where does that presumption come from? It comes from their actions, right? So yeah,
Yeah, and when they frame it like that, oh, we don't hate men, it doesn't even sound legit because it just like kind of reinforces it when they're talking about it. I mean, that's Kafka-esque to say it, but I don't know. They just don't seem genuine to me.
And it doesn't even matter if you. And I've said white men, so I have to say, did you see the salt the other day from Heterosexual Pride Day? They don't just hate white men; they hate heterosexuals.
Right.
Well, they hate any group. They hate any institution in society, any Western institution, whether it's family, whether it's heterosexual relationships, they hate anybody in power, anything that represents the status quo.
Well, and they just can't suppose that anybody who's a feminist doesn't think those things. We have free will to think anything that we want. So of course, like, if you're a feminist, you might think those things. Yeah,
but they don't want you to have free will to make up your own opinions. They want you to have free will to willingly be indoctrinated. That's all they care about.
They just want you to be in their club.
They don't want.
We're not bad. We're cool. We have cookies.
They don't want a discussion. They want you to listen to them indoctrinate you.
And the whole thing with feminism is about the equality of both sexes. Well, I mean, to be fair, it is the focus on females and their equality, right? So, I'd like somebody to explain to me how that somehow includes men. I mean, I don't get it.
What if you had a group that said, I want heterosexual equality, and heterosexuals have been held down long enough, and there would be an outrage because you're obviously a heterosexual supremacist.
Right.
Obviously, yes.
Hate speech. Hey, do any of you guys know? Have you ever heard of Dirty Hippie Panda?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm friends with her, and she has said a couple different times that. I don't know if any of you knows, but she's a lesbian. Mm-hmm. She hates the LGBT group. She can't stand them because they're so bigoted.
Huh. Oh, wow.
Yeah, do you think lesbians exist, or do you hold with Milo that they are just deceiving themselves? What do you think?
I think Milo's full of shit. I think they exist.
I don't really give a shit. I don't give a shit what they...
I think they exist, but I do see some of Milo gets really, really deep into that stuff, right?
He's a provocateur.
Yeah, he's more of a provocateur than anything. He's just trying to fucking troll.
Yeah, but I mean, there is a logic to what he's saying when he goes into it, when he explains it, right? Because what his argument was on that is he said that women are more bisexual to begin with than what men would be, right? That sex that they're more fluid about sex than what men are. Now that's his premise. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's his premise, right?
If they're fluid, why don't they sort of, choose the right one?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Because then the evidence would show, right, that most women are not lesbians. So
given that men are, and let me interrupt for a second. Given that men are less fluid, then how come they're expected to, man up and pray the gay away and that kind of thing?
Right. I guess that comes with fluidity, right?
Yeah, well, they're fluid enough to have male expectations forced on them for however many thousands of years. But when we talk about lesbians, all of a sudden that's taboo. You can't, and that's why he's saying it, is because it's taboo and because it's hypocritical.
You guys ready?
It doesn't mean that he's right to say it. It means that it's provocative and basically lock your opponent in a corner by having them admit or fight for something that shows their hypocrisy.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I got you.
Who here saw Milo and Gavin kiss?
Oh,
Why are you gonna bring that
turned
up,
off
dude?
my monitor for that.
I just
turned
ate,
off my
bro.
monitor for that, man.
Didn't they do that?
I'm sorry, I can't stand Gavin.
Didn't they do that at that site where the shooting was in Orlando?
Close to it, yeah.
Yeah. Huh. That's pretty provocative.
It was brave. It was stunning and brave.
Right.
That's just Milo, man.
No, I mean Gavin.
I could care less
Gavin,
about
he
Gavin.
definitely is a provocateur. I think he's more of a provocateur than Milo is, really.
I mean, you got to be careful because Milo might slip you some tongue,
Milo might slip you some mouth herpes or something, so.
And, it's not herpes, it's AIDS. He's as he said, he's almost certainly got it.
Oh, I didn't hear that one.
Now
Didn't you know that half of black men statistically have AIDS or HIV positive or something like that? So Milo says he's
half of them will get it, not necessarily have it.
I hate to be his mouthpiece, but since he can't be here, I got to stand up for Milo and says that I believe in my heart that he could be HIV positive.
Well, now Milo didn't give it to all of them, did he?
To Gavin?
No, to all the black men.
Yeah, Milo is single-handedly responsible.
He gets around. Jeez.
I'm only kidding. I love him.
He was just being provocative.
I was just being, Let's get our numbers up. Like the Huffington Post, let's say stuff that's obviously not true.
It's a good business model, really. Just fucking...
it's all about the money,
It's not that great of a business model, actually. If you start some media, it's not really profitable. People.
It's backfiring. It's backfiring because, look at the numbers on Huffington Post. Go look on Alexa. It's just dropping like a rock. Everyone's sick of their propaganda. Look at the comments. For instance, yesterday Huffington Post broke that story about the tweet. I don't know if you guys saw that controversy yesterday where Donald Trump tweeted out the thing about how crooked Hillary's the most corrupt politician in history, but it was on a star. It was on a. It wrote those letters on a six-sided star,
right.
And so Huffington Post comes out saying, "Oh, they're all anti-Semitic. Trump's anti-Semitic. This is proof." Well, if you look in the comment sections of the article, most of the people didn't even agree with it. They're like, Jews don't own the patent on a six-sided star. I'm sorry. They're like, that wasn't the Star of David. I don't know. So it basically backfired, and their own base was like, don't make stuff up, Huffington Post. We have enough real controversies with Trump. This just muddies the waters.
Here's what's hilarious about that I find hilarious. HuffPo right now has that on the cover of their thing, and so right now on Huffington Post and blasted out across all the media nationwide is the message that Hillary is the most corrupt
I
candidate
know.
ever.
I thought that was awesome, and it wasn't just Huffington Post. It was all the progressive sites, and they all tweeted out the exact image. And so they're just we subverted the entire system because. I'll tell you a little history here because I browsed the poll thread about it, and they actually did find evidence in the poll thread that image that Trump tweeted out did originate from poll before Trump tweeted it out. So it was kind of an anti-Semitic subversive thing, and that somebody on poll made. And Trump didn't see that, obviously, and tweeted it out and then changed it later. But yeah, somebody on poll not only got Trump to tweet it, but the entire progressive media to tweet it out and showing everyone that she's crooked. So it's really a win.
Streisand effect, man. He even changed it a couple hours later, give people a chance to archive it and all that stuff, and make it look like a cover-up, so that they're like, oh, you don't dare do that. We're gonna expose you.
I don't think Trump meant to do it because obviously, like, a normal person isn't going to see that star and think anything of it. So Trump just tweeted it out without thinking, and then he didn't like the controversy because that wasn't his intention, so he changed it. So, but it didn't damage Trump. It ended up damaging all the progressive organizations' credibility that tweeted it out because it's probably because a lot of progressives hate Israel more than anything, so they're kind of anti-Semitic, so they weren't buying into it.
You might be underestimating somebody who's managed to bumble his way into $2 billion worth of free publicity. I'm just saying.
Yeah. You could be right, but I don't think so. That's not the controversy that Donald Trump Donald Trump wants to position himself as the vote for Israel, the vote for Jews, because they're seeing as Obama and in correlation Hillary is anti-Israel. So I don't see Trump intentionally tweeting out stuff that could be seen as anti-Semitic. But
yeah, I'm not sure there are enough real racists to get him into the White House. You know what I mean?
You mean if he's just purely running on that?
Yeah, I mean, they're saying he's dog whistling and all that kind of stuff. Like, what, dog whistling to like the half of a percentage of people that I've seen that ever say anything in favor of, like, I mean, if we were in a racist, patriarchal society, man, we would be passing a whole different set of laws about how women should be treated. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you guys ready to go on with the video bit?
Please.
Yeah.
Is about equality of the sexes, but right now, one sex has a lot more power than the other.
Men are not systematically oppressed based on their gender, and that's a fact.
But women are, and that's a fact too.
Citation, please. Proof, please. Evidence.
Yeah, seriously.
You're just pulling shit out of your ass. You're literally taking a shit into your hand and trying to stuff it in my face and saying, look, this is why women are oppressed. No, fuck off.
Not one chart, man. Not one chart.
It's incredibly
we don't just say things are facts. We give evidence and we offer proof to prove what we're saying.
Yeah, well, smart, beautiful women are offended by this, and what more do you need? Most women are offended by this bullshit. I'm not saying they're liars. I'm saying their pants are on fire. That's all I'm saying.
Stop being a rape apologist.
You just want their pants to burn off so you can rape them.
Well,
I just like to hear some examples.
Just because I'm biased in favor of raping all women, and let me let that linger out there. Just because I'm biased in favor of raping all women does not mean I'm wrong. If people who are biased are always wrong, then that opens up the possibility. Oh, this is going to be way controversial. That Jews could be wrong. Oh my God! And we all know that.
Well, considering that most Jews voted for Obama, yeah, I'd say that the majority of Jews are wrong.
Are you saying black people who vote in favor of getting more benefits for them could be wrong? Oh no. Well, so
no, I wouldn't say they're wrong for them. I mean,
no, I'm saying they could
in their own best interest.
If you're saying they could be, you're a racist. Obviously, black people cannot be wrong. Women cannot be wrong. Jews cannot be wrong.
Well, that's true. I mean, everyone knows that unless you're a bigot.
So that eliminates the idea that someone being biased can influence their opinion. It's not possible. It's anti-Marxist. Get the hell out.
I'm hearing this for the first time, so I'm just glad that you're here to explain it to me.
I think the
Thank
reason
you.
you don't show your face is because then we'd know you're white, and if we knew you're white, we knew that you shouldn't be allowed to have a fucking opinion. So
shouldn't.
quit being subversive.
I keep talking about
You're
things
right.
in favor of white people being allowed to, live their lives and pay their taxes or whatever. And, obviously the only reason I'm saying that white people should be allowed to live or speak or anything is because I must be white. And you can see my hand is white if you click on the image.
Oh, that's true. You did. That's a dog whistle.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
I'm whistling.
That's sound logic.
In
There's
fact,
no
as a
arguing
white person, I'm just presenting horrible logic. But as a white person, obviously, I'm a beast. I just want to mate with animals. I can't control my impulses. I'm obviously a horrible monster who wants to oppress and subjugate women. But even though I'm biased, if we're consistent with our principles, if my bias makes me wrong all the time, then that opens up the possibility that everyone who's biased could be wrong.
Oh, my mind has been blown. You guys ready? Let's continue.
Proceed.
Equal pay for equal work.
That's already a thing, just so you know.
Yeah, it's already a law, technically.
Oh, one sex has a lot more power than the other.
Men are not systematically oppressed based on their gender, and that's a fact.
But women are, and that's a fact too.
It's a fact.
It's just a fact. We don't need to explain it. It's just a fact.
That's why they're on TV.
It's a fact, y'all.
Diverse bodies, ethnicities, and gender expressions on screen and in magazines.
Providing education to 62 million girls who don't have
Wait,
access.
back up a minute. Just
Slow up. Slow
Back
roll.
up. Back up.
back up.
Whoa, slow down.
Rewind.
You did not go there.
Ho, 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 you horses. Don't be a fact denier. That's a fact. So if you deny facts and science, then you are a fact denier. And that makes you worse.
Unless it's the wrong kind of facts. Because if it's facts that could be detrimental to social justice, like, if they did some studies on different races that came to conclusions that didn't fit their ideology, then that would be evil and you better ban it.
They're filthy heterosexual lies. Yeah.
Any of the following.
Reproductive rights,
Equal pay for equal work.
seeing diverse bodies, ethnicities, and gender expressions on screen and in magazines.
Providing education to 62
Wait, pause.
girls.
Okay. Seeing diverse bodies, diverse, whatever the fuck. How exactly does that... That doesn't have anything to do with feminism by their own fucking
No,
definition
it
that they used earlier.
It does not. Right, it does not. Basically, I mean, if they said it in the manner that they'd like to see more women, but there are plenty of women in movies, as far as I can tell, and in magazines, of course. Unless they want women in the men's fashion magazines or something like that. So I don't even understand why that's on the list.
Well, yeah, they do, because they have
That would
to
be impressing
abolish
Caitlyn
gender.
Jenner.
Yeah, what is reproductive rights? What's that about?
That means it's the right to kill your offspring if you don't want to have them come to fruition. That's what it's about. Yeah, it's about drowning your baby in a bucket before it could come out of the uterus. That's all it is.
Okay. All
well,
right.
I don't want to be opposed to abortion, but feminists made me do it. Because I like to murder my own children, honor killings, and the whole bit. But feminists don't like that, so I have to side on the opposite side just to be reasonable and sane.
I know murder is fun.
The fact is, I think the numbers that I've seen, and this is again a hate fact, that I think there's been 1.5 billion abortions. That's kind of a high number, but feminists are in support of that.
Well, the crazy thing is, if you look at the history of Planned Parenthood, it was all started by progressives, and if you know the history of progressivism, it was all extremely, extremely racist. And so, you have the Bush family getting help founding some of the Planned Parenthood stuff, but it was all targeted. If you look at Margaret Thatcher's writings on it, it was all targeted towards the black communities because they wanted it was basically a eugenics program. It still is. It's why almost all Planned Parenthoods are in communities of color. So they want the colored people to abort all their babies, I guess.
Well, they might want you to believe that, but if you look at the numbers, there's another way to look at it too, and this is highly conspiratorial. But I have to say that most of the abortions are not from that demographic. They're actually from another. It's not a genocide of the black, even though per 1,000, it's 3 times higher black babies being aborted, right? But the highest number of people being aborted are going to be your largest.
but that's just because of sheer numbers, because they're only 10% of the population or whatever, and we're like, I don't know, 40, 50, I don't know.
I was talking to Hannah Wallen about this the other day, and she's pointing to these numbers, and I'm like, well, thank you. Now we know that black 3 times more likely. However, if you balance that out with welfare that's given disproportionately to black women as a group, and again, if I were a racist, I would hate Asians, which I kind of do. But
why? Because they're better.
I want to advocate. Yeah, I want to advocate for Asian drivers, to be, that's the racist thing. I'm just kidding. But if you really wanted to get rid of black people, you wouldn't give them welfare.
Well, I suppose unless you wanted them to vote for you or something. I don't know. I don't know what their agenda is. All I know is that at its founding, Planned Parenthood was a eugenics operation. I don't know what they're about now, really.
I'll give you my theory here. They're either, if you are useful to the state, as long as you produce either work or workers or votes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Work taxes.
Let's keep going, guys.
Wish it was that way in California. They don't care about business out here.
Have access to it.
Ending sexual violence.
Having women in government. Having women CEOs.
Basic gender equality.
Surprise!
You're probably a feminist.
Feel free.
Yeah, this show is so diverse.
First of all, people that do... first of all, the things people do in society, that should be based upon who can do it, not, what color your skin is or what gender you are. And to assert something like that, I think, is ridiculous based on opinion alone. What society should look like just based on a mere subjective opinion.
I did not hear Patrick's introduction.
And the 62 million...
Oh, did we lose sound?
Patrick's muted and he dropped out, but I didn't hear his introduction. So maybe he'll come back.
Oh. So, in the 62 million women that just basically deserve education for being alive and being female, I don't think that's going to work. I don't think we can just give everybody education that way.
Whoa.
I don't think that's how it works.
It's Bernie Sanders' plan, but just for women only.
And what about men? What about the men? What about the men who haven't been educated? I thought feminism was for men and women.
No.
What about the men?
Well, government schools are just for females. If you look at how well boys do in government schools, they're not doing as well, I don't think. And that's, of course, blamed on the genetic failing of men, even though the differences between men and women are not genetic and don't exist because we're all the same. Yet they're performing differently in those schools. So I wonder how they explain this away. That, is it the fact, or is it even up for discussion whether or not boys are being given any education at all?
Well, yeah, and the last line was, surprise, you're a feminist. Does having some ideas similar as another person make you something? I don't think so.
Not by a long shot.
Excuse me, my name was...
That's not logical.
They want you to join the cult, that's all.
Yeah.
I want Patrick to join the cult. Can you introduce yourself, Patrick?
You're one of us.
Hi, my name is Patrick Rockwell, and I'm sorry I'm late to the party. Right now, I can't contribute very much, but I agree with everything I've heard. I think we're all racist, sexist, misogynist monsters. We rape women without knowing it. We can't help it. We were born that way, and I do believe that any woman who joins us in this hangout is a complete traitor to her gender.
Yes, women should be allowed to talk in
for that.
church. In Logic Church, I think it's that they don't want to join, maybe, and it's not that we have toxic masculinity excluding them. When we say things like women should not be allowed to talk in Logic Church, and everyone just refuses to disagree with that, it puts forward a pretty clear message.
Well, we had women here last night, so
that's a hate fact.
Oh. Now it just makes so much sense. Gosh. Okay, let's continue.
To identify or not identify any way you want. But if you say you're not a feminist, at least understand what the term actually means.
And if you think that you're a humanist...
Ziva, we gotta go. We just don't have time for this today.
That's how they end it. We're not even gonna talk about it. We're not even. That's not even what we're talking about. That's not even what we're talking about.
Is that all it takes?
Humanism is rape apology.
It doesn't mean what you think it means. We're going to explain that.
Yeah, you just... I don't know what to say. It's just...
Meryl Streep, it doesn't even deserve your time or conversation at all. Meryl Streep does not deserve anything, according to them.
Good to know.
But Meryl Streep wasn't in that United States of Women video.
Oh.
Well, thank you, Meryl Streep, if you're listening. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be able to talk to you today about your lack of feminism, and I think you want to examine that more closely. Look into your heart and stop ignoring the male voices that tell you to shut up in church because that's what their religion is based on, is shutting up women. And that's really the purpose of Christianity, of course. And we want to oppress you and sexually dominate you because you're only a sex object, Ms. Streep. And I love you for being a sex object and for no other reason. Your performances have contributed nothing to culture or society. Your previous positions don't matter. I wanted to get that off my chest.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so there ain't much you could say to that ending.
Everyone's favorite actress in the world, the most successful actress, and by the way, you could say it's even more difficult to be a actress over 60 in Hollywood. Is she over 50 or over 60? But either way,
got to be over 60.
Of a certain age, it's harder for women to get those awards that she's been nominated for, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Or is it the opposite? I don't want to take anything away from Meryl Streep, but maybe it's the opposite, considering there are so many men represented in movies, so many roles for male actors, that there are so many men that maybe it's more competitive for men, but that would be hateful to suggest.
Well, see, that's why she needs feminism.
Oh, yeah. If you have ability and talent plus the ability to shut other people up by calling them hateful bigots, there you go. That you win the role when the competition gets really tight.
All right, guys. Let's get into this.
I'm afraid.
This one.
Means being tough.
1 hour on a 2-minute video. Here we go.
I'm already scared because he's looking microaggressive toward me.
I'm triggered.
Real man means being tough, strong, and definitely not girly or sensitive. But imagine if we could change all that. Imagine if you weren't considered any less of a man if you went to openly talk about your feelings or binge watch Scandal. Or take a beginner ballet class.
Alright guys, are you ready? 5, 6, 7, 8.
Feminism is all about options. You want to be a nurse, a teacher, or stay-at-home dad? No big deal. Stuffy gender roles say that a man has to provide. Feminism says, who cares?
Feminism doesn't say anything. It's just an ideology. You can live any way you want as long as you don't care how people look at you or think about you, and you can't force people to change the way that they see you, you know?
Well, yeah. See, the assumption. Okay, the way they do this, they project this assumption or whatever onto people that everyone is worried all the time about how they are being viewed, right? They're worried over the idea that somebody might be a musician just because they want to be a musician, or somebody might be a boxer just because they want to be a boxer or whatever, right? It has to be for a reason that's hyper masculinized, or it's got to be hyper feminized, right? And that. Most people that do that, it's like, look at the top chefs, right? People think of cooking as, a female thing, but your top chefs are men. And how many of them are like, well, I'm doing this because I'm a feminist,
Right.
Everything's a merit badge to these fools.
Look at the look on this guy's face. This picture is already a lie, because he's getting a massage and being respected by women for saying the right thing.
Oh, he's getting a tattoo.
Oh, it's a tattoo? Okay, so but anyway, a woman is giving him a tattoo then, and giving him special treatment, and he feels proud of himself for belittling selling out his entire everything, his whole identity.
Yeah, and if that's his whole identity, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, the identity has to be married to being a masculine thing or a feminine thing, right? It can't just be that he wants a tattoo or whatever, right?
Right. Why can't he? Yeah, if he just wants to get a tattoo, get a tattoo. It doesn't matter to me if a woman or a man does my tattoo. It's just a tattoo, right? I'm not going to. Yeah.
It's a Bernie tattoo.
Oh, that makes sense.
Just as long as it's not a free tattoo, you'll probably be all right.
I wonder if this is some kind of phallic thing, like, she's being penetrated by the needle type of a thing.
I couldn't tell you, man. I don't look into stuff like that.
We're going to have to check Freud on that one.
Feminists want you to believe, like Huffington Post, and I think it's obviously a feminist organization that's fallen to the enemy here. But clearly, what they want you to believe is that as a man, you're going to be one of these handsome, desirable men who are just showered with affection by feminist women everywhere, who are, by the way, in the majority, and all that kind of stuff. This is the lie they're putting forward, and the opposite. You would never see this happen. Show me this one. Like, God, I'm going to bring evolution into this. If you could find chicken bones in the Pleistocene, it would disprove evolution. If you could show me this happening in real life, it would disprove my views. This is a fabricated event that I think cannot occur in reality except when the cameras are rolling.
That woman is wearing leather. I wonder what that could mean.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's all subjective, so now I'm looking into the little subjective.
Yeah, now you're looking at the domination thing, yeah.
Right.
He's in a feminine role, and she's in a masculine role. They're reversing the gender roles here.
It does kind of look like she's about to put on a strap-on. Just saying.
Sorry, man. I hadn't thought of that. I would never. All right, dude.
You're no less of a man if it's your wife that brings home the Tubmans.
In the last 3 decades, we've seen a tremendous surge of women in the workplace, resulting in huge economic growth. And with women running this place, we're actually talking about a healthy work-life balance. And now we have time for our hobbies.
There is some data that flies in the face of that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, and
I know that it's not.
I'd like to see some numbers. I don't mind if it's true, but just saying these things is Huffington Post.
No. Okay. So here are the numbers. In basically the 1950s and 60s, there was a guy named Peter Drucker who was one of the more respected consultants of the day, and he looked at the number of people at that time when there were fewer women in the workforce, and in positions, lower positions generally. They were right. It looked as though there was a glass ceiling because they didn't rise on meritocracy alone, and at that time, but at that point, we had about 66% of the workforce. These are people who had been hired, who were so disastrous, so destructive to these companies that they were you couldn't afford to hire them even if they would work for you for free. It was 66%. The figure has risen since then to 75% of people who, I mean, should be just fired because even though they have achieved the role and beat out everybody else, now, according to a book called Top Grading, it's no longer 66%. Now it's risen to 75% of worse than useless people who are collecting checks nevertheless, sometimes from very big corporations, sometimes from small companies, that will eventually have to be fired. It takes about 6 months before their manager finally works up the balls to get rid of people who are dead weight. Wow. That's a harsh fact. It's really harsh because that says that most people, even if they have a job, are hurting the companies they work for. And it's a harsh reality that we're not supposed to discuss.
Then you better not talk about it. Here we go. You guys ready for more of this?
Sure.
Yeah, bring it on.
Hey, Frank, need help with that pearl stitch?
Research shows that couples who split the chores at home actually have more and better sex.
The more we can dismantle our rigid ideas about how women look, act, and exist in the world, the more we should be able to do the same for men. Right, bros?
Hey, did you guys know that countries that are closest to gender equality also have the happiest people?
Guys, look! Oh!
Can you accept this, Rose?
Yeah!
I'm gonna.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know what I saw.
His argument is that the cultures that have the closest to gender equality have the happiest people, and in my opinion, the culture that has the closest to gender equality that I've been able to determine as objectively as I can is Islam.
Huh.
They're not happy. Women are incredibly powerful politically.
Signing themselves up for the suicide bomber role. Matter of fact, they're trying to kill so many people. Yeah, yeah, that's equality. They have the right to blow themselves up equally.
Well, you know, all the imagery that they have in that episode, whatever that PSA, I guess you'd call it. It's okay. All the imagery is like working out the assumption that we're going to automatically be like, look at that guy with the drink, the girly drinking it, he's gay, right? That people are just going to like descend on him, right, or ostracize him or whatever. And that's not the way things are, at least not where I'm at. You know, like you know, my area, I don't see. It's not like I see this big gay bashing thing going on, or you know, around or anything like that. Generally, people kind of live and let live when it comes to stuff like that. Now, maybe there's going to be some guys that are more macho that don't want to hang out with them, right? But that's their choice, right? And that's not nobody's being oppressed, and nobody's stopping them from doing that, right? But the assumption is that we should be somehow offended or thrown off guard or whatever when we see a guy with tattoos, a black guy with tattoos, ballet dancing, right? Or a kind of a tough-looking dude or whatever sitting there drinking a girly drink. We're supposed to be offended by that. But now I wonder if anybody actually is.
Nah, not at all. It's just too funny, dude, because you never see it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, even if you know, if you walked into a bar or something, you know, and you saw somebody drinking like that, you know, if you were with a few buddies and you had a few beers and that, you might say something, right? Or I mean, you know, as a joke or whatever.
No, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. We might joke about it, you know what I mean? But I mean, 9 times out of 10, we're not aggressive like that, you know what I mean? Like, if that's what they do, then that's what they do. You know?
Right, exactly. But I mean, you know, it might be something where you have a private joke, you know, between your friends or whatever. But like, yeah, you're not going to just make a point of calling them out. At least most people wouldn't. So like, who are they really gearing these videos towards?
I have another example because I'm afraid that I might have run the risk if I don't put this in here that somebody might mistake me for a racist, and that would just be heartbreaking.
That'd be terrible.
I'm gonna name a nation. So I'll give you an example of a nation that's maybe the next closest to equality, that where men and women are equally happy, right? They're equally oppressed because none of them have rights and none of them have free speech. None of them have any redress at all, and that's North Korea, which is a country, not a race.
So now would they have, by the claims of Huffington Post, would they have better sex and better lives under that system?
In North Korea? Oh my goodness! According to Huffington Post, North Korea is the dream.
Well, at least they're consistent, right?
The one time. Let's get North Korea tattoos, man. Forget the Bernie tattoos. Let's get North Korea tattoos. Otherwise, you're a racist.
And well, and the Harriet Tubman, the guy getting the Harriet Tubman tattoo, it's like they had to do that intersectional thing where it couldn't be just about feminism, which is supposedly what they're talking about, right? And gender equality. They had to throw the black thing in there, right? They had to throw the race thing in there, which seems to me out of place with the rest of the video.
Right. Right.
You might have heard the term white feminism used lately, after Nicki Minaj and Taylor Swift's Twitter exchange, or when people critique HBO's Girls. But what does it mean?
Basically, white feminism is feminism that ignores intersectionality.
So not all feminists who are white feminists.
But are white.
Say the white board of directors or whoever of the Huffington Post that are all white women.
Yeah,
it's not funny. Okay,
video on this one.
It's not funny to make fun of people of color. Okay, it's not funny.
Hey, white's a color.
It's not. Well, okay, that's funny because you can make fun of white people because they're racist and evil. So you should definitely do that.
Antifa on Facebook, somebody from Antifa actually said that if you're born white, you are born inherently racist, and if you dare to date somebody who is white, then you're only perpetuating this unforgivable thing. They used the word that you can only be forgiven if you mate outside your race.
And that's funny because a lot of those Antifa people are white, which is probably why they wear masks so they don't get beat up themselves by their fucking friends.
Yeah. If you're not breaking a flag over somebody's back, you're not, you're not.
Okay, let's be honest. Those aren't. They're not real flags. They're bats disguised as flags.
Worldwide. Have you seen that it's worldwide? It's every country.
Oh yeah. It's a worldwide domestic terrorism movement that's funded by Soros and gang. And you know what? That stuff might fly in Europe where they don't know what freedom of speech means, and they have these like strong emotional ties to fascism that like makes it. I mean, but that shit's just not gonna fly in the United States. We have our own cultural values and stuff here, and. I mean, they could try and spin it as much as they want, but the average American sees some psychopaths trying to murder people that they don't agree with, and they're going to think those psychopaths are in the wrong, no matter what ideology they stand for, no matter what ideology they're going against. So that shit just isn't going to fly in America.
My whole avatar is a mockery of Antifa. I've got the flag, little more bat than flag, and the red and black color, and being held onto by a white hand. It's a mockery of Marxism.
Okay, I get it. But it's absolutely crazy though. Like, see, I've been doing a lot of the research on that event, and like, I came across a video on one of the Antifa Facebook pages where they were wearing a GoPro while they did the attack, and this is like while they were supposedly like after the supposed Nazis had left the park, like they're running for blocks trying to get away from it, like, and these Antifa people are just chasing them in a mob, beating them, not even letting them leave, like they're running like for their lives. And they're just being chased for blocks while wearing a fucking GoPro so they could use that for propaganda. It's just nuts that this is allowed to happen and that there's zero arrest and that the FBI isn't doing anything about it. I mean, it's actual organized domestic terrorism against American citizens, and no one gives a fuck, and the media is just like, well, they deserved it.
American flags are being stolen across the country. Nationalism's been demonized. You know, the nationalist candidate is obviously a racist. Everything he does is racist. He puts up a star.
But
That's
you're
racist.
a racist if you want to have national sovereignty, dude. If you want to be able to like have control over their own, why would you want control over your own borders unless you're a racist, dude?
So this,
obviously.
when they say white feminism, what are they actually criticizing here? This board of directors, it's white women on Huffington Post, is putting a whole bunch of people of color to distract from the fact that this is, you know, this is their agenda.
Well, white. They say that white feminism doesn't have like. They say that white feminism isn't necessarily the race of the people talking about it. It's an ideology where they only care about the plights of white women. That's what they're talking about.
Ah, okay.
Well, now, isn't the black woman that is in this video, isn't she more of a token, where the other girl is more of the main protagonist, I guess, of the video?
Yeah, like a shield.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's racist, man.
Yeah.
This just all seems so complicated for me. I got to think about the genders and the races and all these factors engaging with people. It's all making me very anxious. Why can't we, you know, why can't I just be talking to a human being? I'm just so confused.
Right.
The
No,
world is
you're right.
evolved beyond my capacities.
It's super complicated so that you're always bad and morally inferior unless you embrace the impossible to embrace complexity of feminism, which is a hypnotic effect. If I can tell you that your hand is falling, slowly rising and falling, and I've got contradictory messages at you, that's hypnosis. And somebody like Milo Stewart, you know who Milo Stewart is when I'm talking about her?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She's a walking hypnotic bomb because she's saying that she's gender fluid and all this kind of stuff. And I know we're not on that topic, but that's this hypnotic stuff, this cultural hypnosis. So you can't understand it, you can't make sense of it in the moment, and so you just believe whatever it is. They throw a whole bunch of this bullshit into your head. You can't examine it. There's no time, and they just gish gallop right past. It's all cultural hypnosis, and it's working.
Listen and believe.
Wonderful.
And our stuff is being censored. Their stuff is never censored. Ours is always censored. We're never violent. They're always violent. We're never hateful. They're always hateful.
No. Your words are violent, dude. That justifies their physical violence.
The people who are actually moral or immoral, it's the doublespeak of their whole thing. It's all based on this abuse. And incidentally, how I learned how these people are abusing all of us is through their own Duluth model. If you look at it, their power and control wheel. Everything that's on the power and control wheel is how they are using the government and using Huffington Post and all their media outlets to abuse people, making us think we're the crazy ones. For example, abusing us economically by getting rid of our jobs. You know, this constant drum beat of anti-heterosexual, anti-white, and it's not confusing. It points in one direction. The people who are the largest group of taxpayers, if there is a large chunk of productive citizens, who is it? It's going to be the people who are like normative in a bunch of different ways, like mostly Christian. Oh, they're taxpayers. It's a Christian country in America anyway. And mostly heterosexual. Most people are heterosexual. Most people are white in this country still. Most people are men that are working and paying taxes, so they have to be demonized and made to feel guilty. That's the group that pays the taxes, and we don't want them being uppity because they are the slave class or the progressive parasite class. That's the direction they're pushing.
Wow, that was deep, man. I've never looked at it that way.
Well, I'm just looking at what their message implies, and it pointed me in that direction.
Well, I mean, I've kind of looked at it, but not at the extent where the whites are really the whites and the males are really the tax players, and they're supporting the parasite system.
Yeah, well, if you believe it's okay to demonize white people, you know, a white heterosexual Christian men, then put them into camps and work camps and give them no rights at all and all that kind of stuff.
They don't. They're at the point where they don't even want work camps or re-education camps anymore. It seems like they just want to violently fucking murder you.
Yeah, well, what they're re-educating us with is government schools. Those are the new work camps, basically.
Well,
you're right. You're right.
A new population.
Well, that's only so they could sow more division in the future, and they'll create their own. They'll create their own Muslim Lives Matter groups to go riot in the cities once they get enough numbers. That's their fucking plan.
Okay, here's where I go away from and depart from the data.
Well, guys, this is all interesting, but let's keep in mind correlation doesn't
Way
prove
off
causation.
topic.
All interesting ideas. So.
That's true.
Yeah, all interesting.
It's all fun speculation when I say that. Have you noticed how many teachers are getting knocked up in the schools? That means sex is happening in the schools and with the students.
Oh.
In a gun-free zone.
I haven't noticed. Wow.
Hey, that's why speculation is fun. If you know what's happening in Fredericton with 2,700 emails that are concerned about what's happening, the abuses, the sexual abuse, and the punishment, and the immigration. There's only 29 immigrants in the whole school of Fredericton in Canada that Faith Goldie reported on. And the teachers are so concerned for their own safety, so concerned about the well-being of the students, that they've amassed a huge amount of data. Through the Freedom of Information Act, they got this... they found out some of what's happening in the schools, but it's shocking because we don't know what's going on in the schools until somebody flips open their camera and takes a video of somebody getting beaten down. And who's always the people being beaten down, and by whom in these videos?
It'd be the women being beaten down?
It's women. It's often women. It's often blonde women, not always.
Right.
But who's administering the beatings in these videos?
The Muslims, right? Muslim kids.
Dude, let's not talk about this because it's demonizing races that we don't want to demonize. Dude, I read this in the SPLC handbook. You don't want to talk about like minority races and demonize them in any kind of way, man.
Well, I did a blog, but you can look at my blogs. But one of them, it's not always the same victims, it's not always the same perpetrators. But in one case, it was what appeared to me to be black girls who had ganged up in a bathroom and killed another black girl, unrelated to ideology. So it's not always that. But why are they not being protected from this kind of stuff? Why are they in so much danger in schools in the first place?
Dude, all I could say is I went to a school that was like in the inner city, and I mean, it's just to say you get a real dose of reality real quick that the authority is not going to protect you. You got to protect yourself. Like, you got to watch out for yourself. The authorities ain't going to come in when somebody's beating your ass.
Or after the fact.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Public schools are absolutely terrible, and
hell, I got in trouble one time. I said something.
Let that kids do whatever they want. Yeah.
And I got in trouble one time, like in middle school. Like I said something. Some kid was like a Mexican or something, and they said that was a racist attack. I was like, how is it racist to say he's Mexican? They're like, that's a derogatory statement. I was like, who was saying it was derogatory? I was just saying a fact. Like, and they got me to try to give me trouble for like talking about this kid's nationality when it was like, you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck?
They brought it up. They brought it up. Whoa. Not only that, they're bringing it up only because you're, I'm assuming, white. Only because you're white are they bringing up race at all, which is racist.
Yeah, and dude, that administrator had like a hard-on for white boys too, like not in a sexual way, but like, dude, she went after us, like threw the book at me and my friends because we were on the back of the bus, like just three guys in a seat, you know, in like middle school, talking about like some sexual. We were virgins, you know, but we were talking about watching porn or something on the bus, and like some girls in the seat behind us overheard it and weren't comfortable with the conversation, but they didn't want to like say something to us, so they didn't want us to get in trouble, but they wanted to go tell a teacher to tell us to stop talking about that type of stuff. Well, the teacher didn't give us a warning or anything, just fucking suspended us for sexual harassment.
What
and we were
the
just
hell?
And like made us go to this counseling program and stuff. Like she held us after school, didn't even tell our parents where we were at, held us for like hours, like threw the book at us when we didn't even do anything.
I think it's conversations exactly like this one, which is the reason why anytime men try to gather together in a group, it doesn't matter what they're campaigning for, nationalism, men's rights, doesn't matter. Men try to gather into a group together and discuss how they're being treated in society and how there is no recourse, there is no free speech that gets you out of it, that you're being shut up, you're being expelled, you're being suspended, punished, even thrown in jail for getting together and trying to have a discussion. I think that's why. I think because we are so abused is why we're not allowed to discuss how abused we are.
Yep. They don't want the truth to come out.
But you know, truthfully, the world is freaking hard for everybody, and I mean, we all got stuff to overcome. But you know, certainly there's things we could do that would make the world easier and better and more fair. But You know, this shit that's out there. Sometimes it sucks, and we just gotta kick ass and.
Well, look, I'm not saying that Black Lives Matter shouldn't be able to complain about stuff, shouldn't be able to like bitch about whatever's affecting their race or their people. I think they certainly should. I don't think they should go shutting down other events, trying to pretend like everyone needs to just talk about their message only. But you know, they try to shut us up. But I don't think shutting them up is the answer. On the contrary, it's like it's better to hear them speak and to broadcast their true words and what they really think. Because in reality, these progressive groups don't want you to hear what they really think. They don't want you to come record their meetings. You know what I mean?
Right. There should be a platform for everybody to be able to speak and say what they want to say.
Everybody should, but you have to recognize the fact that there are certain groups that are
except
not
for pedophiles.
They're violently opposed. Well, even pedophiles can meet. But there are certain groups that are violently opposed by these Marxists and cannot meet, can't discuss their abuse. Everyone's abused. It's hard for everyone, yes. But who are the people who are not only having a hard time, but not even allowed to discuss the hard time they're having?
Well, you're white supremacists if you want to talk about white people problems.
We should be able to speak. Yeah.
Look at what happened to the TWP, the whatever traditional workers party. Like they didn't want to give a message of hate. They wanted to talk about issues that affect white people. But no, they're beat with bats and attempted murder with rocks and everything else. And then they're demonized when they defend themselves in self-defense.
Roosh V, I hate him. I think he's disgusting, ugly troll. I mean, he's handsome with that beard. I mean, let's be real. But, I don't agree with what he says. I still want him to be able to say it. I still want him to be able to organize. Even if he's advocating rape, and especially if he is, I don't want that behind closed doors.
Right. You got to have that out in the open. I think I pissed off some people with the MRAs and the MGTOW because I had made a video and made some comments as far as Rush V when he was on that tour, and I guess in Canada they were some of the cities wouldn't allow him in, which was like some kind of constitutional.
In some cities in America, bro.
Well, yeah, but in the in Canada there was actually a constitutional law that protected him coming there to speak, right? And I don't know if it's the same in the States, but people actually violated those laws. People in positions of power violated those.
They did too.
They don't get banned from countries.
They don't give a shit.
Well, see, but what the thing is that it's not just that it blocks Rush V, right? Rush V. It's that if they can do that one time, they can do that any other time, right? They can do that for another reason. So then they can say, okay, MGTOW, we're not going to allow you in here, or MRA, we're not going to allow you in here. And I know that the media likes to, group everyone together, conflate it all together, and then that way they can demonize everyone. But the thing is I think that it was important to let Rush V speak his mind, to go do these meetings, because for one thing, if people do see it, the majority of people who hear about this, see this, whatever, are going to be repulsed by it anyway, right? And so what's out there. It lets people know what's out there. Okay, as long as he's not actually, raping, whatever, which I've heard there's allegations of that, but if it hasn't happened, if that's the case, right? Then he's just like whatever, like an erotica writer or something, whatever. And he's got these.
Well, if he was actually inciting people to rape, then that wouldn't be protected speech.
No, it's not.
And just like I mean,
crime, yeah.
What Antifa is doing in organizing violence, organizing domestic terrorism, that's not protected speech. But for some reason, they're turning a blind eye to it.
Right. But see, that's the thing. If you block somebody like Roosh, right, then that's just a step closer to blocking somebody else in it. Unless he is actually inciting rape.
Yeah,
right?
He wasn't actually inciting rape, from what I've seen. But yeah.
But somebody must be, if 90% of the boys in Pakistan, if it's true that 90% of the boys in Pakistan by the age of 18 are raped, then I mean, is there somebody that's
that was Roosh? That was Roosh. Roosh fucking
Roosh
is all
did it.
over Pakistan. He's really popular. I've heard.
I didn't know. But why would for some reason that information is also, is it being hidden? Is it being
He
shut
is
up?
a Paki, I think. That's why he's like dark-skinned.
Wow.
And now it's all making sense.
Well, I think he should have the right to defend himself from that accusation right there.
Well, the feminists should defend him because of the dark skin.
Oh, right. Well, he's white, isn't he? Okay, so if you're from... Did you know that from the census data, we haven't separated out white
He's
from...
actually not white, though. I think he is actually Iranian or something.
Yeah, I forget where he was from.
No. How dare you? The census says that if you're Iranian or Egyptian, you're white. The violence that you commit in the United States, you're a white person if you're...
Well, same with Latinos. It's all. That's all. They come up with all the white people committed these statistics. That's like MS-13 could go kill 10 people and it counts against the statistics for white people.
That's the white people, and they blame that on the Europeans because they don't separate them out in the stats.
Yep, they do it intentionally, actually. But that one. Oh wait, that's conspiracy.
Hang on. Do you know it's intentional? Do you have facts yet on that?
It's intentional because I said it, bitch.
Are you mind reading? Are you mind reading the very same thing you accuse feminists of being able to do?
No, except I know there's a difference.
No, there's a difference. Yeah, it's different.
No, I actually have research because it wasn't always like that. They changed. They added these racial statistics like later on, and there's some crazy stuff going on. But yeah.
Right on. I think we're scaring the guy from California, and he's frightened.
Oh no! I just don't have much to say on the subject of some rapey guy.
Yeah, sometimes it's better not to comment, huh?
I want to say something about Canadians, but I'm afraid that saying something about Canada and its policies will make me a racist.
Say it.
It could. So watch yourself because there could be some people watching that might not like that.
Say it.
Well, Canada's rapidly turning even more white now that they're importing more quote-unquote white people from the Middle East into Canada, and the quote-unquote white people they're importing are now 3% of their population. They're in their schools. There's 20-year-old men in these Canadian schools, and they have socialized medicine, which is a super idea, which I've explained elsewhere. The argument in favor of socialism. Who wants to hear it?
Sure.
Man. Okay, sure. Go ahead.
I actually am in favor of socialized medicine personally. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'll give you an argument in favor of it. So Steven Crowder went to Canada, and I saw his video where he had to wait in line, and he was interviewing people who were waiting for years and had to have double amputations because they were waiting so long to get access to medicine. Because a generation later, the single-payer system, the problem is you can't get access to the medicine that you need.
Well, I get there's problems, but here you're you're just gonna end up in a grave because nobody's gonna help you and you're gonna die on the street. So.
Well, I know but because people are dying, this is why socialized medicine is good. See, because it kills the people who are not healthy, the people who are diabetic, the people who are eating poorly, and so forth. That people are running for their lives literally because they have to be healthy or they're gonna die. So they look so much sexier and slimmer in Canada. It's amazing. They're in fear of death because the doctors won't save them.
I don't think that's true.
You don't think they're joggers?
I mean, that's a good theory, but I mean, you could talk about how fucked up socialized medicine is, but it still helps most of the people with most of their problems. It's not. I think you're exaggerating a little bit, but I'm not going to say that it doesn't have problems and there aren't huge wait lists and people waiting for surgeries and stuff. And I'm not saying their system is perfect because it's obviously fucked up. So, I mean, there's a lot of nuances here.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuances. Well, I'm on your side, man.
I think that it would be really nice because here's the thing: what a basic human need is safety and having free medical care. Like I fall off my bike and I break my leg, I can just go to the hospital and get a cast. That's awesome, and I hate to live in a society where that's not possible. I just think I don't understand the economics of it, and I don't know if it's actually equitable in the long term in terms of the financial consequences if we have a system like that where everybody gets free health care.
This backwards fascism system that we have now, and I'm talking fascism in terms of like true fascism, not what the social justice is talking about, but the marriage of the corporate and the state. And that's even more fucked up because now you have the state forcing you to pay some private company so they can make private profits, and it's just like the worst of all worlds, if you ask me.
Do you guys want to open this up for other people who want to join now?
Sure.
Yeah, sure, but I just wanted to interject something.
Go ahead.
Socialized healthcare. I have benefited several times from socialized healthcare. There are advantages and disadvantages. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, it's just another system of managing sickness. And the United States is actually the only country in the world that has the multi-payer system. All the other countries have a single-payer system. I believe Australia, for a while, flirted with a multi-payer system, but they eventually ultimately winded up going back to the single-payer system. Now, a lot of anti-socialized healthcare statements that I hear coming out from the United States is comparing Canada's healthcare to the United States. Well,
I would say that's true.
I don't really call that a really fair assessment. If you're just comparing one country's socialized healthcare system, why aren't you looking at...
Exactly. You should look at all of them and see what works and what doesn't.
I mean, there are definitely problems with our system. I definitely will admit that. But that doesn't mean the concept as a whole is rubbish.
Exactly, but it's all just propaganda, man. That's why you only hear them focus on the negative aspects. Like, it's propaganda. It's on both sides. Both sides do it. Both sides are guilty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I can tell you who's in favor of socialized medicine are the socialists, the same feminists who don't have reason and facts and logic to back things up.
You know who else is in favor of it? The Nazis.
Yeah, well, they're national
clearly I am as well.
Well, by definition, Nazis are socialists.
Yep.
I'm from California, so I'm definitely for it. All right.
Well,
you guys want to open this up?
I would not call you Nazi. Let's open it up. Let's have some...
sure.
Yeah. Some fresh blood in here.
Break up the toxic masculinity here.
Oh.
Yeah.
We lost Spartacus.
Why do we gotta look at that ugly feminist face every time you talk, man? Like, change the fucking picture or something.
Well, if she were a little bit less crazy, she'd be doable. It depends on... You need a light dimmer. Hey.
Light dimmer? Yeah.
Strip clubs would be out of business if you couldn't make her look good.
Well, I think she's trying to go for this kind of weird in-between look, right? Like she's somebody's younger sister or something, or what? You know, she's not really hot. She's not really ugly. She's just kind of there, or whatever. You know.
I don't think she has much control over it, if you want to be honest.
If you blare the music loud enough that you can't hear what she's saying, and put her in a little nightclub in a you know, little black dress, then
she can pull it out.
Somebody's gonna buy her a drink.
After half a fifth of vodka might start to, hey, how's it doing?
Hide those laugh lines.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Steve hasn't said too much tonight. Is he? Oh, he's muted.
He's muted.
No, I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, that's right.
I just haven't really been. I know the socialized healthcare debate was the last topic that I really felt that I could really add anything of real importance to. That's why I've been a little bit quiet. I'm still definitely here.
Oh,
I'll say this. You want to talk about what, healthcare, nationalized or not? I'll tell you that much. It should be localized. Localize everything.
It should be
not only that, but you should have like a blend of both, and it should be run by charity. The public part, at least.
The public part run by charity. You know how much healthcare costs, man.
Well, we do still have charity, by the way, and we have charity for people in the developing world that's pennies.
Yeah, just cut that shit out and focus on your own people. There you go, problem solved.
Well, maybe doctors should donate their time to help people.
Doctors should donate their organs. I think that would solve it.
No, but seriously, it would be would be okay if we have people that are willing fully contribute. If you want the like a universal healthcare or some bullshit like that, you have to sign in order to have it. And if you don't want to take part of it, you can just not.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Not an imposed one. That was my point, basically.
I haven't heard the introductions from everybody that's here yet.
Oh, yeah. Who's all in here now? We got lovely Catherine.
Go ahead, lovely Catherine.
Hello.
Okay.
Bravo.
And we got
Beautiful.
Magic
Lovely.
Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women's call me Magic Johnson, and apparently I'm what friendship is for Brony.
And he's also the best friend of the guy who runs North Korea, Kim Jong-il. Moon or whatever. Yeah, best friends.
Yeah. I've heard. Do you guys ever you ever heard of Tavis Smiley? He's like a black guy that writes books. He's kind of I don't know if he's liberal or
yeah, he's on. Is that the dude he's on like Fox News sometimes?
I think so.
He kind of sounds effeminate a little bit.
It's been a long time since I've seen him, but he has a book called Accountable, right? And in the book, they had Obama's original, his administration's original single-payer health plan, and it was really bastardized by the time they passed that thing or whatever. But the thing is that the original plan had a lot of good stuff in it. And when I read it in the book, you know, I'm thinking like, well, this will never work out in real life, right? It looks good on paper, right? But it just won't translate. And that's exactly what happened. It was a really good plan, had a lot of good stuff in it. But you know, when it came to the floor net, the first thing they did is they said, well, we're not going to have single payer, right? So I don't know if a program like that would work better than what we have, but I have heard a lot of complaints about socialized medicine.
Yeah, basically some people have died just in the waiting room.
But a short version of the complaints against socialized medicine can be summed up by like a 1-hour video, or you could just say that eventually it works in the short term, and then like a generation later, people don't want to be doctors anymore.
Right, because everybody's losing money, right? And yeah.
It's hard to be a doctor. I mean, you're not going to do that unless you're going to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't stop people from entering law school.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what's even fun? You know what's even harder than being a doctor? And the answer might surprise you.
Oh, being a gender studies professor.
Well, yeah. But being a vet.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I have a couple guys that I went to a high school with, and they both actually entered a veterinarian school. One failed out in the first semester, just gone, couldn't do it. The other one, I think he went on for a year or two, and then just gave up. Both actually went to medical school. One's graduating, and one's graduating this year. One's graduating next year.
I think probably the toughest job of all of them has got to be, and when you said vet, it stimulated me thinking a World War I trench, what do you call it, infantry, under heavy shelling for 6 months before anybody realizes, hey, that's futile.
Yeah, you know, I was just going at it from a purely academic stance, but you know, I see that argument as well.
I don't know. We need to compare things, I think, in context of, you know, I mean, these guys had it pretty hard, and thankfully, being in veterinary medicine, doesn't that attract more women to that role? Is that true? Is there a gender bias?
I would have to look into it, but now that you think about it, my mother has a whole bunch of cattle, about 900 cattle, and so just growing up on the farm with her and still being around to help around the farm whenever I can. I've gotten to know a lot of vets. Now that you mention it, I did notice that. In my experience, though, it seems like it's 50-50-ish.
Okay.
But that's just anecdotal.
Yeah. Well, there's some fields that are just more attractive to whatever natural capabilities people have, I think. And I think that people that work with farm animals quite a bit, if you were raised around them, you might have had to do some farm work, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
People said that they trust in the horse sense of the American people early on. Some of the founding fathers said that. And that's because if you were grounded, you understood what was going on. You were facing reality. If you stood in the wrong place, you're going to get kicked, and it's your fault for doing that. You know, you get your bones broken, it's your fault. Because a horse is just a horse. A cow's just a cow. You know, the cattle are going to do what cattle's going to do.
Right, you can't control it. It's going to happen.
And so you're facing reality right up close and personal, and it smells bad.
Okay, but that's the same argument the progressive use, where say, well, if you offend the Mexicans, of course they're gonna beat you over the head with a bag of rocks while you're walking in the other direction. I mean, what the fuck, man? You didn't know that?
Yeah. Well, that's simultaneously racist and true. But yeah, no. If you go down to a Trump speech, that's a good point. For example, if you went down to San Jose, where I think that's where the guy was beaten, ambushed from behind by a guy with a bag of rocks and was bleeding, that he's kind of got some responsibility for being there, and he should have known better, right?
Well, he shouldn't have tried to go to a Trump rally. I mean, the fuck. But this is the point of terrorism: is to intimidate people into changing their minds for fear of retribution.
If this happened in another country...
What's your guys' thought on the Sacramento events?
Sacramento.
I mean, it's the first stabbing made by SJW, basically.
Never heard of it? Yeah, I heard of it. But with San Jose, it was different. It's about the election, whether or not you can have a valid election when one side is just has control of the media, is violently opposing the people who are trying to attend these events. But in Sacramento, it's a different thing. It's totally different. Because this is a group of people who are advocating for political views and can't even get a candidate that represents their views because they're so violently oppressed.
Yep. Yeah, but they're Nazis, so of course they deserve it.
Well,
they're socialists. Just for expressing views, you get stabbed. I mean,
dude, I was really upset though, because when I re-uploaded that video that I found where this guy wearing GoPro chasing people down the streets, beating them for blocks with this mob, and you know, I think the headline of the video was like, Marxist, anarchist, Antifa terrorists beat Americans for blocks and chase them while they're trying to run away, won't even let them escape. And some of my old-time subscribers were like, I'm deleting you now, I'm unsubscribing, you didn't even mention that these are Nazis, they deserve it. I'm like, holy shit, man, a lot of my subscribers think that domestic terrorism is cool as long as you call them a Nazi. It's like, holy shit, they've been totally fucking brainwashed.
Yeah, well, if that's to be fair, your subscriber came from Gamergate, right?
No, I didn't. I've had subscribers for years, and I used to be kind of liberal, which is probably, I mean, I was always a populist. I was always a populist, like, you know, and they draw from both the right and the left, but I don't know. I mean,
you're the guy that made that huge-ass video about Bill Gates, right?
Yep. Yeah, that crazy-ass tinfoil that turned out to be 100% accurate, yep.
I don't think that we can justify the violence of intellectual uprising for free speech by saying that our violent flamethrowers or machetes or whatever is justified because the Huffington Post is made up of racist, violent vermin or whatever. That doesn't excuse...
Well, I think the leaders need to come out and just say, hey, you guys... We have an election going on here, and violence isn't cool. You know, I mean, the people who are in half of the power are like.
That's what's really sad about it. Is they're not even speaking out against it.
Go ahead. Yeah, but even Trump, he doesn't care. You know.
I know. That's what kind of makes me mad.
Like, yeah, go for it, guys. You know.
But what does justify the violence against the Huffington Post if I can finish that sentence, is
Yeah, sure. Sorry, go ahead.
their own argument for preemptive self-defense. I mean, are you really going to hand over that argument to the people that you're, spewing so much hate propaganda?
To some violent extremist Marxists, give them the, justify it by saying, yeah, you're totally justified in attacking them preemptively with attempted murder because, their words are violent, man.
I thought that was against the law. I thought that those type of people would go to jail. I thought that was assault.
Yeah,
I thought we had
you think
laws.
You,
It is
you would
also-
think that, actually, here's the thing. One of the dudes, he might die, too. One of the dudes, he was an Antifa dude. His name was Vincent, and nobody knows his last name. And I guess he's still, like, brain dead or in a coma. He got stabbed 6 times. He lost a lot of blood. He's probably brain dead now. But, yeah, if he dies, that organizer of the event, that school teacher, she could be charged with murder, and she should be charged with murder, because that's what happens when you organize an attack on people and someone dies. The organizer of that attack is charged with murder, but they don't even care. They're not holding any of these people accountable, and they're letting them take money for more attacks and to buy new weapons and shit. It's like it's literal organized domestic terrorism supported by the state, and it scares the shit out of me, man. Like that this is actually going on, and that a large percentage of progressives actually support this type of terrorism against their opposition, and all the progressive, mainstream new media outlets are totally in support of it. It's like, whoa, man, this is like the rise of Hitler that we're watching. Like,
not quite. Not quite, but I agree. I agree with everything else you said.
I got to say.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just one sentence.
When people like social justice warriors, who usually are restricted to their strongholds, like the academia, the media, these kind of things, when they start acting violently, this is a sign of desperation, because their main outlet for their propaganda is the written form, and the speeches they give. Their MO is not acting physically, unless they want to start a provocation, like they pretend they are being attacked.
Well, they like to shout down, and they like they would like to debate and try and win a debate, but they lose the debate, so they just get pissed off and triggered, and their only reaction is
And
to
for
use violence
example,
to shut it down.
they touch a policeman, and then the policeman reacts, and they start yelling that the policeman is attacking them. It's a common tactic. But
yeah, that's what they always do.
It's a very common tactic. They start yelling, and they touch the policeman. The policeman reacts because it's an automatic reaction, and they start yelling, "Police abuse, police brutality! He is attacking me!" And but they don't usually resort to physical violence or to this kind of attacks.
Well, that's all changing, though. It's all changing.
It's changing, and
because now they can't win the arguments. Now they don't know what to do.
Yes, when their arguments are leading there to nowhere, they start using the guerrilla techniques, because that's the resort of desperation.
Well, you're right, and it's interesting you called it guerrilla techniques, because in black culture they have a term called guerrilla pimping, and that's when you're scared that your girl might be talking to another guy or something, so you get all violent with her and try and terrorize her into changing her mind and only being faithful to you. They call that guerrilla pimping. Well, a real pimp doesn't have to use those kind of tactics. He says, "Go do what you want, bitch." You know what I mean? That's what a real pimp says. "Go do what you want. I don't need you."
We got to let Magic Bubblehead talk here.
Hey, Magic.
All right, that was his chance. All right, so I'm going to bust in and say that violence is a sign of desperation, right? And the laws that are not evenly applied on both sides means that you just don't have, it's not a fair playing field, and you don't have maybe the option. Violence, so it may be desperate, but it may be correct. For example, when people violated the law by freeing slaves like Harriet Tubman, running the Underground Railroad, that was in opposition to the law, and they use that as justification for violating the law. But they hand over that justification to their opposition when they do it. All right, so Magic Bubblehead's not going to talk because he's on break. All right, so the police brutality claims that are trumped up and fake when they hurt themselves. This is the Fight Club mentality. This is where you punch yourself in the face. That when a government does that, it's called a false flag operation. These have been declassified. Some people know about it, some people don't. But that's when you attack yourself. It's high school tactics, really. You hurt yourself and then say somebody else did it to you. That's not new.
Yeah, it's not new.
That's not new, but it's something new protesters are doing.
But when I say about guerrilla techniques, I've been in student unions when I was young here in Brazil, and back then we had a military dictatorship, and I got involved with that. I'm not anymore, of course. Actually, now I'm involved in overthrowing the current government.
Wow.
And yes.
That's hardcore.
Wow, yo, I'm scared for you because, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Brazil, but what I've seen, like, on gore sites, it's like the most violent place on earth. It's like almost pure anarchy there right now. And
no, if we had anarchy, it would be good. Actually, what we have is some pervasive form of not official communism that is still can be borderline called socialism, because we still have private property and this kind of thing, but it's if it were not for the absurd corruption and the still functioning justice system, yeah, and the presidency and part of the Congress being caught involved in this scandal, we might be going full straight to becoming a second Venezuela. And what's happening here is that the leftist party, it's a conglomerate of several parties in one. It's not a unified party. And in this party, there are other micro parties that are hardcore Marxist parties. They are even more communist than the official Communist Party that went extinct and has an offspring that's called the Brazilian Communist Party. And they support the government, and according to the sources in the military, they are plotting a coup if the president gets the impeachment, and everything is pointing to her getting impeached.
It sounds similar to our country on so many levels.
And it sounds the military is ready for a counter coup. So back then, when I was involved in student union, it was a common practice to people throw themselves to the floor and claim that they were harmed.
Harmed by who?
By the police.
Okay, this sounds similar to Black Lives Matter. Go on.
Yes, and another one, because there were lots of strikes back then, the workers' unions ruled the country back then, and anything strikes, even though they are illegal. They were illegal and they still are. Going on strike is not legal, but people nowadays they go less on strike because the government they are supporters of the government, but back then it was their way of protesting against the military government going on strike, and they would fake the beatings to provoke the police. It was a common guerrilla technique, because they would cause a commotion and a riot.
So that's kind of interesting when you talked about how the leftist party is like a conglomeration of smaller parties where some of them are a lot more radical. That it's kind of similar to what's happened in the U.S. where the mainstream Democrats aren't that radical. Like the DNC isn't that radical in and of itself, but they support all these other radical groups, and then you have the Antifa and all the other groups that are protesting that are far more radical.
If they do not want to be violently opposed, then they should not say, as Francesca from MTV said, that the words that you have the right to free speech, but then you are responsible for the blowback of that. Because then they're...
Oh, yeah. I remember that now.
No, that's just a justification of leftist terrorism. That's all it is.
Yeah, well, the unintended consequence if they say that is that they're making it not just okay for people who agree with them on other things, but they're making that okay for people who disagree with them about other things, aren't they? So they really
don't see it that
saying.
way, though. They see it. There's only one right and wrong. That's the way they see it. But yeah, they're too stupid. That's what everyone's been saying. Once you uncork this violence against your political opposition is okay. Other people could start using that against you. It's not a one-way street.
All you have to do is selectively agree with the progressive agenda just on the most violent, hateful shit, and then use that against them and say, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm selectively agreeing.
Jesus. It's crazy what's happening, though. This period in politics is going to be looked back upon in history and not favorably. They're going to look upon it like the rise of Hitler, where it's like, how did the U.S., a state that loves freedom of speech, become so radicalized that they want to kill their political opposition? And it's a mainstream viewpoint. It's like it's scary, man.
You're presupposing they're going to win.
Oh, I don't think they're going to win. I think we're going to win, but that's why it's still going to be looked back upon as the evil time where this toxic ideology took hold of academia and an extension the media after they all graduated. And, now it's taken over. This cancer has metastasized in all our institutions to the point where American citizens are getting terrorized and beaten up, and there's going to be probably some dead ones after it's all said and done, after these conventions are wrapped up. And it's going to be because of progressivism. There's no other way to cut it.
I want the progressives to have and raise happy, healthy babies and to have lives of prosperity and abundance. And that's why I support. But
they want you to be dead.
Yeah, I don't want them to exclude me from it. And if the way to resist them is by talking about it and complaining about it, and if that works, then that's fine.
Call it like they are. In the fucking 70s, Jim John did not hide it. He was calling it like it is. Fucking Marxism. It's all boiled down to that. It's not progressivism or whatever.
What's nonviolent to do is to infiltrate Google the way they have, Google Ideas, to infiltrate Twitter like they have, and to enforce what? The lack of freedom of speech on one group that disagrees with you? That's nonviolent, isn't it?
To enforce the correct speech, you mean?
The correct speech, yes. Well, that's fine for them to do. And what are we doing? We're stepping into a boxing ring with somebody waging a violent war against us, handcuffing our own hands by saying, oh, we should have free speech for everybody, while they're advocating for our, as some say, genocide.
Do you guys mind if I cut the stream?
But maybe that's just Bahar Mustafa that's advocating for that. I don't know.
Do you guys want to stay and talk live, or do you want to just stay and talk?
I want to thank the audience for listening to my BS.
After all.
Yeah, go ahead, guys.
For people who are listening, don't accept our ideas, but question them.
Yes, indeed.
Especially.
Right. Anything else, you guys? Go ahead.
Quantica?
Oh, no, it was cool. I'm glad we could get everybody together in it, and yeah, it was really neat. I was having more fun listening to what everyone else had to say rather than me saying all that much, right? But yeah, that was great. That so anyway, thanks everybody for coming. Thanks whoever's watching and that. And yeah, hopefully we'll do some more of these, and yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, and thanks guys for coming. It was great having you on, and I enjoyed listening to all the different perspectives, and it was just generally awesome. So, and thank you everybody for coming and watching and all that. So, thanks guys.
On the day of, on the weekend of American independence being celebrated, congratulations to the British for Brexit, for getting their independence peacefully.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Happy 4th of July to everybody.
All right, thanks guys, and if you haven't, please subscribe, and thanks again.
Thank you, Logic.
Links in the description.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks, DJ.